Hey, it's Sam from Sugar Spun Run, and today we are making a buffalo chicken pizza. This is a super easy recipe for possibly the most flavorful pizza of your life. Inspired by buffalo chicken dip, I think you're going to love this one, so let's get started. Now, the first thing you need to do is get your oven preheated to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. You're going to want that oven rack arranged in the center. That's where we'll be baking our pizza. So today's recipe, you could use a store-bought crust, but I really recommend making my homemade pizza crust, which I will link to my basic crust and my sourdough crust in the description. Can't go wrong with either of those. If your crust is not already par-baked, I'm gonna recommend doing that for this recipe. Roll it out, make yourself a little crust, brush it with some olive oil, pierce it all over with a fork, and then just bake it in your 450 degree Fahrenheit oven for 9 to 10 minutes until it's starting to look golden brown. We're adding a lot of toppings to today's pizza recipe, so par-baking it in advance is just going to keep it from being soggy or doughy or underbaked on the bottom. So here's my par-baked crust. If yours is warm, that's fine. If you let it cool completely, that's fine too. But before we add any toppings, I like to drizzle it with a little bit more olive oil, and then I'll just use a brush to brush that oil sort of evenly over it. And I like to hit the crust with a little bit of that oil too, which just helps encourage browning. Looking good. All right, we can move this out of the way for a minute. It is a heavy pizza pan, but I do love it. It's my cast iron one. Let's talk about our pizza sauce. So you're not going to be using tomato sauce for today's recipe. Tried it, didn't really work super well. What we're going to do is we're going to make a ranch buffalo topping. So you need equal parts of buffalo wing sauce. I'm using mild today, and your favorite ranch dressing. We're using 1/4 cup of each. Just going to combine them together. If you're a blue cheese person, I'm sure you could use blue cheese dressing instead. I'm just not really. So we're going to whisk the ranch and the buffalo sauce together until these are nicely combined, all the way combined. Clear measuring cup makes it easy to see. All right, let's bring back our crust. We're just going to spoon a little bit of this sauce over the pizza. Just drizzle a little bit, not very much. I'd say we're using like a tablespoon, maybe 2. Just do a light layer on the dough. Doesn't have to totally cover everything. It's not going to be a really thick layer. That's fine. Now we need our chicken because this is a buffalo chicken pizza. So what I have here is 1.5 cups of shredded chicken. You could use leftover chicken, rotisserie chicken. Shredded is really my preference with this pizza. I think it's the easiest to use, but if you have like chopped chicken instead, that would also work here. It depends on your texture preference. So I'm gonna take the rest of my sauce and pour it over the chicken. Put all that sauce in there. We're going to toss these ingredients together, and I like to use a pair of forks just so I can shred the chicken even more while I am tossing everything together. Make sure we don't have any pieces that are too large. That'll just make it difficult to eat. All right, now we can drop this chicken right on our pizza. And I'll tell you something I do sometimes if I want to be a little extra indulgent with this pizza. I'll take like 1.5 ounces of cream cheese and I'll cut it up into tiny pieces and I'll dot those over the crust before I add the chicken. Might not be for everyone, but I like the little extra punch of cream cheese in there. Depends on how ambitious I'm feeling. All right, so we'll just scatter this chicken as evenly as we can over the pizza. It's crust. And if you want to know my secret to getting a nice round pizza crust when you roll out your own homemade dough, the secret is to have someone else do it. I am incapable. Mine look like amoebas, so I made my sister do this. So let's talk toppings. This pizza needs a little bit more than buffalo and ranch to really feel complete and have a lot of flavor. So what I like to use is I like to thinly slice about 1/3 cup of onions. This is about 1/3 of a red onion. I'm just gonna scatter about half of these onions over the chicken. Break them up a little bit. And then I have about 1/2 cup of chopped tomatoes. So I'm using Roma tomatoes today. I scooped out the seeds because too many seeds can kind of make things watery. There are a few lingering, that's fine. And I'm just going to add about half of those over the chicken. Next, we are going to be using mozzarella cheese, which gives a nice stretch and a nice kind of mild flavor to the dough or to the pizza. And we're using 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese here. And then finally, we'll take the rest of our onions and our tomatoes and we'll just scatter them over the top of our pizza. I really, really love the fresh flavor that the fresh tomatoes add. We're not using a tomato sauce, but the tomatoes really, really bring out a great flavor in the pizza. I feel like I'm talking in circles, but once you try it, you're going to know what I mean. All right, this is going to need to bake in your 450 degree Fahrenheit oven, and it's going to need to cook until the cheese is nice and bubbly. That should be about 10 to 12 minutes. All right, once your pizza is nice and hot, you are going to want to let it cool a little bit before you serve it, but also there are a couple toppings I like to add. I'm going to throw a couple of chopped green onions on top. And then I like to drizzle the top of the pizza with about 2 tablespoons of buffalo sauce. Just looks a little prettier if you use the bottle like this. And about another 2 tablespoons of ranch dressing. If you prefer, instead of ranch dressing, you could crumble blue cheese over the pizza instead. Do a little more sauce here. And then the rest of our green onions. I just chopped 2 scallions for this. All right, this is still really hot, but I'm going to at least cut into it, which is another thing that's always difficult for me. I'm really bad at cutting pizza. All right, this is very hot still, but that is how I make buffalo chicken pizza. If you try this, let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Lunchtime. That was a good pizza. Can't remember if I said it. Lunchtime.
Lunchtime for me?
Come on, keep it together. Cups of mozzarella cheese.